That's crazy. No, the Geneva Convention does not allow this. What do you mean it feels personal? We're trying to defuse bombs. Hilarious. Don't give me another faction to remember.
It's over, Deimos.
It's over until you escape because we're keeping you alive. So after watching a bunch of Rainbow Six Siege trailers, I decided I needed to know what was actually going on. So I sat down on stream to actually learn about the lore. Shout out to Kudos for the video. Now, if you're watching this right now, there's already a part 1 out on my YouTube channel right now. You go ahead and subscribe to check that out. Beyond that, hope you enjoy. Also follow me on Twitch.
A recon
Let's
mission,
continue.
not elimination. They would keep this man alive and use his prints to enter the building. Now that they had an entry into the base,
W call. People that got alive.
They would leave this Ghost Eyes operative to do their mission, while Sense would extract the architect safely. And as the pair would fly away, we would learn that this Ghost Eyes operative was Nook. This mission was now under the control of Ghost Eyes. As the sun would set, Nook would wait until the cover of darkness to strike. As night would fall, the unconscious Nighthaven soldier would be discovered by Smoke, as well as one of Nighthaven's latest agents, Grim, a skilled ex-member of the Singaporean Armed Forces.
This is some G.I. Joe shit at this
Grim
point.
would investigate this infiltration after shots would be heard from inside the building.
This is
He'd
dancing
follow
G.I.
the
Joe
trail of
shit.
chaos into Nighthaven's server room, where he'd see that data had been downloaded from the system's terminal. That is when Nook would
eating a
emerge from the
starburst.
shadows, stabbing Grim
That's how
in the
crazy
leg
this is.
and beginning her getaway. Grim wasn't going to let her escape that easy though. He would deploy the Kawan mechanical tracking beads, small advanced drones developed by Nighthaven. He would be able to pursue Nook to one of the lab rooms, where they would again face off. This time, Grim would be ready, taking a slice at her veil, exposing the bottom half of her face. The two trained specialists would then engage in hand-to-hand combat, with Grim getting the upper hand, holding her at knife point, as he would demand her to hand over the data key. But Nook had a contingency. She would detonate explosives planted in the room, being able to escape Grim's hold. This explosion would create an exit point for Nook to escape, where she would be extracted by Sam Fisher, who is now actively working on the field. Grim relays the information to Smoke that Nighthaven QCR shipment records have now been stolen. This would be a huge pice of intel in Rainbow's investigation, whereas Nighthaven now have their own issue at hand. They've just been infiltrated and had information stolen from them for reasons they don't know.
Because they didn't actually do the shit.
Would gather the Nighthaven agents. They were able to get a single blurred image of the perpetrator who infiltrated their base. It seems that during the explosion to escape Grim, Nook would partially damage her equipment, no longer fully cloaking herself on Nighthaven's cameras.
Wait, who is she?
Initiates a full investigation. They need to find out who stole the data key and why. Osa claims that
the absolute worst person, the most secretive person is about to get leaked.
They won't get very far with the information. But as Callie says, we're talking about someone who successfully infiltrated Nighthaven, and they should assume that they are capable. Callie puts Grim in charge of this mission, ordering him to brief each member of the team individually and see if he can learn anything about the infiltrator. Wamai acknowledges that this person is phenomenal at hand-to-hand combat. Osa points out the fact that they were using a certain tech to elude security cameras. Aruni would say they're like a ghost, even comparing them to Thai folklore. Pulse acknowledges the tactical anticipation of setting up the explosives as a plan B. Putting all this information together, Finka believes that this is none other than one of her ex-colleagues, Nook. Grim would relay this information to Callie, where she would lay down some ground rules as Grim begins to travel to further his investigation. She claims that they cannot make an enemy out of Rainbow, at least not yet. She presents the following rules to Grim. Do not infiltrate any Rainbow compounds, and no killing of any Rainbow operatives. Reclaiming the data key is no longer part of the mission objective. They have to assume that Rainbow already has the intel. But she wants to make a statement that Nighthaven can't be pushed around. She orders Grim to find Nook's identity and use it as leverage against Rainbow. Grim would begin his investigation and follow Callie's orders. He would first take the knife that Nook lodged in his leg and bring it to a specialist. The man would acknowledge that this is a military-issued knife, with some modifications and customization. Grim would intimidate this man and pressure him into finding who was responsible for designing this knife. A day later, Grim would track down this artist, who is connected to deep pockets in Prague. Grim would threaten this artist by holding him over the side of a building, demanding a name. Using this intel, he would track down a banker with ties to the Black Market operations. He would track down and follow this man onto a flight, interrogating him in the bathroom to get the address of his contact. This would lead him to a group of heavily funded mercenaries. He would hold one of them at knife point, and using his Koan bees, would kill 6 of these men from the other side of the wall, thanks to the information being relayed. As he forced the final mercenary to start talking, he would begin to remove this man's fingers one at a time.
Oh my god!
This man would finally give up information. And this is when Grimm would travel to a theme park, where he would intercept a man spending time with his family. He would separate this man from his family and bring him into a staff-only area. This man knows a lot of intel, secrets of the world's most powerful, perhaps a member of the GSAC. Grimm would threaten this man's life and get the final piece of information he needed. He would travel to Nook's house, where she would be attending to her garden and notice that her door is open. She would enter her kitchen to find Grimm sitting at her table. Now on guard, she would offer him tea.
Bro, how is her face covered when she's at home alone?
As she assesses the situation. Grimm would tell her that his real name is Charlie, and she would question how he found this place. He would then place her knife on the table, giving her an indicator. As she goes to take a sip, she throws the scalding tea at Grimm's face, grabbing the knife, whilst Charlie grabs a butcher's knife behind him. The two once again face off, with this time Nook getting the upper hand and pinning Grimm down. But Grimm reveals that he's not here to kill her, rather to tell her that Nighthaven now has all of her secrets. And he came to deliver a message: if she was to cross Nighthaven again, there will be consequences. This would—
I don't understand. Why is her identity so important? Like, unless she's like the president or some shit. Like, I don't get it.
Effect on Nook. This is her safe haven, a place for her family, a place that not even her closest friends at Rainbow know about. Nighthaven are walking a fine line here. They know that Rainbow has higher jurisdiction and can legally affect their operations at any time. But this is now an asset that Rainbow can't afford to lose. Nook's identity poses a risk to national security, with evidence suggesting that she may be the Princess of Denmark. If the media were to—
Okay, if she's a princess or something like that, then she just shouldn't be in the field. I'm confused.
Catch wind that she was a part of a covert unit that is tied up in international affairs, it may cause issues with her nation. Following this information, Nook would make contact with her captain Kivera and go on a period of leave from Rainbow. Around the same time where Wolfguard were rescuing the architect, Kuvera would be training her newest recruit to Ghost Eyes, a Colombian specialist by the call sign of Solus. Having a passion for computers, Solus would be a part of Colombia's national police. Being proficient in ballistics and close combat, she would also work in counterintelligence with the National Intelligence Directorate. She would live a secret life online, monitoring systemic corruption through the dark web and ultimately discovering transactions
that tied
several officials to trafficking rings in South America. Following this crackdown, she would appear on the radar of Flores, who would recommend her to Captain Kivera for recruitment. Flores would greet the newly recruited Solus, and the two of them would use their skills to create the Spec.io electro sensor. Being built off of a prototype that Mirror originally designed as an upgrade for IQ, this device would be shelved after IQ would leave Rainbow for Nighthaven. Flores and Solus
like some Ant-Man
would request
shit.
this prototype from Mirror, and with Flores' skills and Solus's vision, they would complete the Spec.io electro sensor, being able to relay real-time information of electronics to Solus's view. Ghost Eyes were preparing for Operation Sunset R&D, with this being the first mission with Solus. After some missteps during the training, Kivera would unassign her from this mission. But when Kivera asks what Zero thinks, he says to give her a shot. Zero would give some wisdom to Solus, saying that she reminds him of a younger version of himself. He reminds her that she wouldn't be here to begin with if she wasn't doing impressive work back home. He helps ease her mind and lower her stress, and the two throw around some banter as well, showing that although
walking around giving everybody the
leader,
sauce,
Zero's opinion is still respected, and they look up to him. Kivera would now initiate Operation Sunset R&D.
That's the OG, bro.
See them infiltrating a company by the same name, located in London. Although this weapon manufacturer isn't Nighthaven, they seem to have some dark illegal underground ties and are in the possession of a prototype device.
Why is Nighthaven just permanently shady?
Some of the strongest encryptions, and Rainbow need this to access Nighthaven's data key. A Ghost Eye squad consisting of Kivera, Solus, Mozzie, Zofia, Zero, and Maverick scale this building and silently enter. Solus makes note of multiple cameras and devices.
Crazy. Who's writing all this?
The team would continue to quietly progress through this building, where they would come
Tom Clancy himself isn't writing all of this, right?
After scanning a room, Solis claims it is clear, but she feels like there should be more in that room that she's not seeing. Kavera orders her to give a solid yes or no answer, so Solis claims it's
even
clear.
alive?
Zero breaches the doorway as Zofia, Kavera, and Mozzie enter, where they are met by automatic turrets. The operators are able to shoot them before anyone is hurt, but this causes Solis to get a scolding from Kavera, asking her how she missed those. She tells Solis that she's no longer on the team, as one of these men, who are still conscious, activates more of these turrets in the room. As the turrets would begin to focus on Kavera, Solis would activate an overdrive of her helmet. This caused the turret system to focus all its fire on the output coming from Solis's helmet. This would divert the gunfire as the team take down these turrets. Zero would secure the intel, as Solis would earn respect from her captain. Following this mission, Ghost Eyes would enjoy a drink and a meal created by Flores. The team would unwind and talk about their mission, with Solis showing Zero a picture of her family. As the team would continue to bond with their new recruit, Kavera would pass Solis the Nighthaven data key. With the intel gathered from Sunset R&D, and Solis's skills being able to crack the encryption on Nighthaven's data key, Rainbow would learn the truth about Nighthaven. Nighthaven themselves would also now get a full grasp of the situation. Both Rainbow and Nighthaven would learn that Nighthaven QCR weaponry had been stolen and sold on the black market. Low-level thugs and militias are using Nighthaven gear, some of the best in the industry. Nighthaven would gain intel about an upcoming black market sale and prepare to intercept and take their ordnance back. However, Ghost Eyes would infiltrate Nighthaven's runway and confront them. Callie tells Rainbow that they didn't kill Yahata, but Rainbow already know this, and that's not why they're here. There is now Nighthaven weaponry flooding the black market, and they're not letting a private military clean up this mess. Rainbow would ground Nighthaven, telling them to stay out of their way and that they'll deal with the ordnance. Even with the leverage Nighthaven have over Nook, that isn't enough. This is a direct order by NATO to stand down. Nighthaven has to comply, or stuff may get messy for them. Ghost Eyes would begin prepping for this mission alongside Red Hammer. While Rainbow and Nighthaven weren't the only groups investigating this stolen ordnance, Harry had also been doing some digging himself. And using his position as well as his intelligence, he would begin to piece stuff together. And there was one thing that would stand out to Harry during his investigation. A person, well, rather, an alias. One simply known as Deimos.
Here we go.
40 a.m. With last year's funding cuts, we cannot operate at the level we need. I've stated my case again and again, but my concern falls on deaf ears. I can only hope that what wakes them up isn't a great tragedy. 2:22 a.m. Filed a declassification request for files related to early Rainbow missions. They're routinely redacted, but it's the only way I can connect the dots. To find out who Deimos really is. Putting a name to a face may not stop him, but when you know the why, you can begin to find the weaknesses. 4:04 a.m. Just doesn't make sense. There's only one clear candidate, but now I need to go back over my notes, over the files, because it doesn't add up. It's not possible that 8:29 a.m.
Wait, why would that be possible?
Searching for the real identity of this Deimos. A piece of evidence will point one direction, but another suggests the opposite.
What?
Whoever he is a master of subterfuge.
What do you mean the opposite?
He's been hiding for a long, long time. 12:43 p.m. Deimos has all the hallmarks of being a former Rainbow operative. Like everyone here, he is a force to be reckoned with. But when freed of the bounds of morality and protocol, he becomes much more dangerous. Which is why I'm not as confident as usual that if he comes after us, we'll be able to hold our own.
Bro, say who he is.
1:22 p.m. Rainbow has been in somewhat of a crisis recently. I sense instability amongst the operators. Infighting.
I mean, I know, but
I try to be as strong a leader as I can, but I lead with the mind, and sometimes I wonder if that will always be enough. 3:33 p.m. The captains have all been so focused on Nighthaven recently that I worry it's led the unit as a whole to be too single-minded. Intelligence has been warning of something much bigger on the horizon. 8:19 p.m. Every good leader knows authority must be passed on eventually. I've done what I can. Change the culture for the better. But it cannot always be me. There are many who could quite ably fill my shoes. 10:01 p.m. To do this job well, you have to give everything over to it. I'm coming to terms with the fact that other areas of my life have been greatly neglected. One day I hope to make it up to her.
Who?
Hello?
Oh shit. That's where this comes in. Bro pulled directly up on him. Okay.
Have a look.
At what exactly?
Well, this is how Rainbow dies.
Crazy work.
Confirmed. They're spread out well enough. Operators take positions.
This cinematic was so tough. I can't even lie. I don't even mind watching it again.
I have eyes on 15 mercs surrounding the QCR weaponry. Make that 14.
What's good, Neo? Everyone in that room getting murked.
Extract the ordnance.
Will they?
Take point. Ghost eyes, support. On my mark.
Wait, do you know R6 like ball? You know, I did not know there was this much lore. I can't even lie. Damn. Like, bro, they did that shot this like there's a physical camera, bro. It's actually nice. Bro, there's comics and shit. I didn't know about all that. Nah, that's actually what.
Fall into the wrong hands.
That's why we have to extract it.
Let's finish
Yeah,
this.
jumping left-handed, bro. The least accurate shot known to man.
Run!
Or it should be at least. Damn.
That's gotta be tough to watch. Wholesale Nighthaven weaponry is a scary thing. It's also the perfect bait. Call me sentimental, but I'm a little disappointed they fell for
Can
it.
only assume it's 100% more immersive knowing the characters. Bro, I'm already more immersed watching this lore video because I already watched the
Rainbow
cinematics.
used to be feared
But now I understand the timeline.
a covert unit of apex killers, and you turned it into the fucking ice capades. You disgraced my unit, Harry.
It's their unit now. And the disgrace is yours, Damus.
What comes next is the squad's fall.
Wait,
One by one,
hold on.
every operator dies. I guess I wanted to thank you for making it so easy for us.
My job was never to leave Rainbow, but rather to help them lead themselves.
So I want to know what this guy's motive is. It can't just be back in my day. Oh, right, he has a ring.
Now, if you don't mind, I happen to find you exceedingly fucking boring.
Damn. Like that is
Tell me
crazy.
when I was swinging.
Like that is crazy, bro. I was about to say, I'm popping, bro, for that statement. Yeah, bro. Whole villain over here.
Rainbow's director is dead. An ex-Rainbow operative known simply as Deimos emerges from the shadows, orchestrating a false conflict between Rainbow and Nighthaven, driving them further apart and diverting their
Wait.
attention.
How the fuck is there still so much video left? Wait.
5 Rainbow operatives would be involved in Deimos's strike, with one of them, Ash, being critically injured and placed into a coma. Harry's body
Ash
would
is
be
in a
discovered,
coma?
and the information would be relayed to the rest of Rainbow. The 4 squad leaders would now take control of the team, and Rainbow were now at war. Rainbow
Wait,
would
so who's
immediately
6
begin the
technically?
retaliation and gather as much intel on Deimos as they could. Viper Strike would initiate Operation Commanding Force. Joined by their new recruit Brava, a Brazilian Cote operative who is the cousin of Capitão and was responsible for saving Capitão years prior after he was captured by the cartel and would lose his eye. The 2 cousins would join Captain Habana for this mission as Rainbow Intelligence was working
Fairs.
overtime. Not only were they able to infiltrate one
Street
of
Cosmic
Deimos's planes,
7 is
he
crazy.
would also be present. We get to see a large amount of money being transported by Deimos, as well as Capitão telling Brava if she gets the shot to take out Deimos, to take it. As Deimos makes his way further to the plane, she would use the clutch
It's okay.
drone
We're
to
gonna
hack a
get
mobile
Deimos and we're
turret
gonna
use
capture
it
him and
against
let
the
him
armed
escape
men
again
on
for
this
the
flight.
plot.
Habana would
Don't
use
worry.
this opening to pursue Deimos through the aircraft. Deimos, realizing that he's under attack by Rainbow, with no regard for his inventory or his men, would open the cargo bay doors, causing
That's
Habana
wicked,
to
by the
fall
way.
back and be knocked unconscious, whilst Capitão and Brava hold on for their lives. Falling debris would knock Capitão over, as his cousin saves him by holding his hand. That is then when she is presented with a clear kill shot for Deimos, which
that's horror,
Capitão
bro.
urges her to do. He yells at Brava to let him go and kill Deimos, but she can't bring herself to do it. She chooses the life of Capitão over the death of Deimos.
I'm not gonna lie, personally, you're off the team. Now we have to deal with the boss villain again later. Thanks.
Able to get away as Habana regains consciousness and the team is able to safely land the aircraft. Now, this Deimos situation would require all hands on board. Habana would request Mira to get out of the lab and come back to field work. Brava would also defend her
Wait, does he
decision
even
to
have a
save Capitão
parachute,
over
or is he
killing
just-
Deimos, saying to Azami, if we're gonna bring him down, we should do it by the book. This is not the time for vigilante justice.
By the
Now,
book?
Azami
Fuck
isn't
the
only
book.
one
Look at
disappointed in
him.
Brava for not taking
Does he
the
look like
shot.
he reads?
Brava would travel to the Hereford Military Hospital, where Ash would be in her coma, being overlooked by an injured thermite. Habana would relay information to her fellow squad member that someone planted intel on Deimos's plane, the geolocation of a compound in Brazil. Habana informs Thermite that Brava is going to lead a reconnaissance operation there to find more. But Thermite isn't having any of it. He says, Habana, that son of a bitch put Ash in a coma. He killed Harry. Brava had a line of fire on Deimos and didn't take the shot. Habana replies, I'm aware of what's at stake, Thermite. This is a Viper Strike operation. You don't get a say. New intel says Deimos is getting ready for another strike as we speak, says Thermite. We need a win here. Then allow me to take point, Brava interrupts. Sir, the clock is ticking. I know the area, the people, and how to access the compound unnoticed. With me leading, we save weeks of prep. Weeks we don't have. Like you said,
Leading. Listen, he himself said, yo, let me go, lock in, take the shot, bro. Even with like a teammate that you're not related to, that's a hard call. But it's like, you shouldn't be allowed to be in the field with somebody you like can't make that decision for. You know what I mean? Just Deimos, dude, you gotta go. It's like an understandable thing for a human to do, but then it's like, yeah, I'm just not gonna send you in the field as a leader though.
now or never. A reluctant Thermite will agree with Brava being sent to this compound, but he has a message for her. If you see Deimos, you pull the fucking trigger. Yes, Captain, replies Brava. I won't make the same mistake.
He's on timing, bro. That's what I'm saying. You letting me go or... Listen.
Twice. We then cut to Ouro Preto in Brazil, where we can see
No, not
Brava
gonna lie,
leading
nigga
a
like me
strike
would
team
never be on
joined
this
by
team though,
Jaeger
so.
and Alibi. Jaeger and Brava will make their way closer to the compound as Alibi holds back to provide reconnaissance.
To be
That
fair, the way Buddy was walking, something tells me he was never in danger. Cause I'm sorry, if I think I have a shot on somebody, but he's walking down the stairs looking like these, I don't know. Maybe I do pull Buddy back on and we jump him in case I miss. Like, is he bulletproof or something? Like, what's going on?
Alibi's position is exposed.
He's a little too confident walking. This nigga opened the airlock on his own people and
this
cargo.
Would be one of Alibi's decoys, and the real Alibi would be behind him and takes him out. It would now be fully open fire as Jaeger and Brava take cover and return shots back to these men. Brava throws a grenade and uses it as an opportunity to
Look at her face. She's crashing out.
push. One of these gunmen attempt to do the same thing, but is caught by Jaeger's ADS, and he
Okay, wait, I can't keep pausing this shit too long, but wait, no, imagine actually letting Buddy go, shooting, and he just like eats that shit. You know what? Maybe we let Brava slide on this one.
he is put down by a long-range shot from Alibi. Brava and Jaeger are preparing to enter the compound.
Yo,
when the
if she had an
building erupts in
RPG,
an
different
explosion
story.
from a nearby rocket. As the compound goes up in flames, Brava believes she lost the intel. The person responsible for this explosion appears from the tree line, and the squad pursues them. They immediately surrender and say, "You don't want to shoot."
All right, bro, the
Trust me."
lighting's not
This
that
man
crazy.
claims
Who
that
are
these
you?
soldiers already knew that they were coming there, and the building was laced with explosives, and he blew it up to save their lives. That's convenient, Brava says. Another option is that you knew what we were after and destroyed our intel. I didn't
Wait.
destroy the intel, this person says. I am the intel. I'm the one who planted the geolocation.
I
Then
am the
why all
intel?
this?
Who
Why not
are
come
you?
to us directly, says Brava. I was stuck. Deimos. He's everywhere. It's a long story.
Okay,
My only option was to get your attention on this compound and hope you'd send a team. I can help you stop him. Bravo
Who could
would
this
take this
possibly
person into
be?
Rainbow's custody. And
so, okay, cool. I hate, bro, they all are looking him in the face.
bring
Why are
them
we
to
still just
Havana
getting a
Thermite
silhouette?
for questioning. This man would reveal himself as Emil Svensson. Born in Sweden, when he was younger, his parents would enroll him in every science class they could find after he showed a fascination with animal biology. On track to attend his hometown's university to pursue his passion,
We don't
his
know him.
focus would shift following
wait, he was
his
an-
mandatory military service.
We just saw his
He
operator
learned that he
trailer.
had an affinity for physical fitness and tactical organization and became especially interested in how combat affects soldiers' emotional states.
What?
Following his military service, he would study neurochemistry and
Oh,
join
this
the
is a
Swedish
scarecrow
Armed
motherfucker.
Forces,
Ah,
quickly
yeah.
earning his way up. As a
Yeah, this guy looks like he has
communicator
nothing to
in the
lose.
Special Operations Group, he expanded his skill set and aimed to develop strategies that would improve his peers' performance. When his project to create formulas that alter soldiers' emotions was denied, his instance caused him to be discharged. Estranged from his
wait,
family
that's
and
this
made a
guy. I didn't
pariah
realize
in
that
the
was this
scientific
guy.
and military communities,
Okay.
he had few options when Deimos approached him. Fenrir wanted to create a formula that would stop soldiers from experiencing PTSD and the other negative effects.
I
of
remember
combat.
this-
He
this
finally
animation.
found someone that would allow him to pursue his vision and financially support it. Svensson would develop his formula until it became evident that he was being used to create a dangerous weapon. A prototype of this formula
what you
that
did,
had
bro.
the adverse effect of turning you violent would be unleashed on Fenrir's colleagues by Deimos.
This
would
guy
be a
just created the
heartbreaking
28
moment for
days
Emil.
later shit,
Only
bro.
ever wanted his research to do good in the world, to help people, but now it was being used as a weapon. Emil would investigate Deimos's true intentions,
What do we learn?
and that's when he'd discover Rainbow. He would take all of his work and flee. Now in Rainbow's custody, he wants to help them as much as possible to stop Deimos.
This is like, did y'all ever
Thermite,
watch
seeing this as
Kingsman? The
win
first
Rainbow
Kingsman
needed,
movie?
would recruit Emil under the call sign
Like
of
that.
Fenrir to his squad Red Hammer, but this would come at the disagreement of many operatives. Alibi, Kaid, Jackal, and more are concerned about Fenrir's recruitment to Rainbow. They are scared that Thermite is acting out of desperation and he's letting his guilt and anger cloud his judgment. But other ops such as Fuse, Blackbeard, Capcan, and Oryx see Fenrir for who he truly
Brimstone
is.
is
A sad outcast who at the end of the day just wants to help. We'd also get more information about the
Bro, did they?
injuries of
Is this
Sledge.
just real
He
life?
would have
Jesus
2
Christ!
broken ribs,
Holy
a
quality.
fractured wrist, and a few pieces of shrapnel lodged in his leg. As he says, Deimos should have used a bigger bomb. We also learn that Callie and Nighthaven
Is
are
that
staying
Aura?
out of Rainbow's way. It's their mess, and she's got other business to attend to. Flores will also go visit Ash in her coma, saying, "Hey Capitana, when you wake up, I'll make you a whole buffet. Just come back."
Oh yeah, she was the one that
But
recruited him,
whether
right?
the operators agree with it or not, Fenrir
forget.
is now on Red Hammer. Although he understands the suspicion they have against him, he's ready to prove himself. Well, he would get the opportunity to do so when Red Hammer would be deployed to Costa Brava in Spain, where 8 hostages are being held.
Oh my
in a
God.
building. The team would set
Another
up
comic?
an FOB at the perimeter where they would begin to create their plan. Thermite, who is still recovering from his injuries, would assign Kaid as team leader for this mission. Fenrir would do some reconnaissance on the building, saying 4 hostiles, very capable. Our dialogue with them indicates they will kill hostages if necessary. No demands other than a boat out of here. Kaid tells Thermite that best case scenario is 2 hostages dead. Worst case scenario, all of them. The team would lose connection to Captain Thermite, with Amaru saying that something from inside the restaurant is creating interference.
Best
with their
case
call.
is 2
The
dead.
captors radio
GG's.
into Red Hammer, thinking that they're just the police. Hello, this is Fenton speaking, says Fenrir. Bring the boat, says the hostage taker, as Fenrir begins to think of ways to delay them. As I said earlier, these things take time. No more time, they reply. If the boat isn't here in 5 minutes, we kill a
5
hostage.
minutes?
Red Hammer have to strike now. As
Where
Kaid
am I
begins
supposed to
brief
spawn
the
a
team
boat
on
in
what the
5
plan is.
minutes?
This is when Fenrir intervenes, saying that they could use his dread mine and save every hostage. But
Wait.
Kaid does not like this idea.
Now we got
saying,
older
"I know what your
brimstones now."
toxin does. It's chemical warfare. But Fenrir replies by saying, this is a new iteration. It causes disorientation.
It's okay. It's a new type of
And
chemical
exposes
warfare.
hostages to a chemical agent. Kaid snaps back. There are no lasting harmful side effects, says Fenrir. I've tested it on myself to be sure. In a make or break decision, Kaid would allow Fenrir to do this. The team would begin to scale the building as Fenrir
wait,
and
that's Kaid.
make their way around the side. Kaid drills
Wait,
a small hole
Kaid
into
is in the
building,
field?
and Fenrir
This guy
deploys
is
his
too
modified
old.
formula. As the captors begin to make their way to the boat to make their escape, Fenrir activates his dread mine, causing mass confusion amongst the captors as the rest of the
What?
squad repel in the building and take the hostiles.
That's crazy.
down.
No,
Thanks to Fenrir's
that's
idea, there would
the
be
Geneva
no
Convention
hostage
does not
casualties.
allow this.
Paramedics would
There's
attend
no
the
way.
scene to make sure the hostages are
There's
fine
no
and have
way. They're
lasting
breaking, like,
effects. Fenrir
9
thanks
international
Kaid for
laws.
trusting him, but Kaid doesn't have anything to say and walks away. Fenrir, still trying to figure out what the demands of these captors were, would ask one of the hostages if they had any demands of them. That is when they get the revelation that one of these hostages worked for Yahata Data Services, specifically on the Rainbow account. He relays training information to agencies with potential operators. And a piece of information that they were able to extract from him was where the next training would happen. A code name, a place called Tower.
Tower? It's just called
During the same
Tower?
time this hostage situation was taking place, Vigil would be at the Tower training location in South Korea, where he was supervising many Rainbow recruits, specifically in abseiling. Everything was as normal
Oh, I remember
until
this
the
one.
sounds of a helicopter entered the scene. A barrage of bullets would hit the tower, causing many recruits to fall to their death, as Vigil is knocked unconscious by a large chunk of debris. 2 Rainbow recruits by the codenames of Ram and Angel attempt to escape the area. They're still attached via ropes and need to get out. A stray bullet would hit the rope of Angel, and she would tragically fall to her death, suffering the same fate as her fellow recruits. Ram would rappel inside the tower through a broken
This was
window, where she would
crazy.
use the boogie auto breacher to break through a wall into the armory and begin to return fire with an LMG. Ram was now the last stand against this helicopter. She would be able to hit the fuel line of this helicopter, causing it to
Oh,
lose
hell
control,
no.
hit the building, and crash to the floor below. As she walks through the rubble and bodies of her colleagues, she helps Vigil out of the rubble and brings him to his feet. The 2 Korean specialists are the only ones left standing, as they begin to make their way to the base of the tower. A bleeding Vigil now gets the intel from Red Hammer, who just completed their hostage operation, but it was too late. Deimos was 1 step ahead. He makes
Yo,
sure Ram
this
is
Deimos
okay
guy
after
gotta
she just
go.
lost her friend, and tells her to be ready for when they get to the base of the tower. As when they open the doors, they are immediately met with drones and gunfire. The
Oh, hell
carnage of the
no.
crashed helicopter now stands as the battleground between these 2 operators and Deimos' soldiers. Deimos' people were attempting to extract the helicopter's black box, as to prevent the sensitive information on it from falling in Rainbow's hands. The operators would quickly conceive of a plan. Ram would use the auto breacher as a distraction, whilst Vigil would cloak himself from the drone operative and flank the hostiles. They would put their ideas into action, with the auto breacher causing enough carnage for Vigil to slip around the
How
side.
many of these
He would
comics
flank the
are
drone
there?
operator and shoot them from
There's-
behind, diverting the attention of the soldiers, as Ram would then open fire. The tactical execution and pinch by these 2 operatives would see an end to these soldiers. Rainbow would take control of the area, gathering as much evidence as they could. Not only would they extract the black box, but they would also take the
This shit is
ordnance
getting
used at the
intense,
scene.
bro.
And the uniforms that these soldiers were wearing had a name on it, an organization called the Carries Legion.
The Carries Legion?
Rainbow would begin to analyze everything they have gathered. At the Viper Strike headquarters, 6 days after this attack, Mira and Rook can be seen testing the ordnance used during this assault, well, at least a replicated version using the forensic evidence of the scene. They learn that the ordnance the Carey's Legion are using can even penetrate Rook's armor. Solus would be handed the black box from the helicopter, which holds all flight information and could point Rainbow into learning where it came from. Solus begins to analyze the data, saying that there is an additional level of encryption the Sunset R&D prototype isn't able to decipher. However, Solus would be able to determine from this data that the helicopter took off from a commercial freight ship called the Heartbreaker, which is currently moored off the coast of Portugal, with the recording making mention of a special operation.
This is about to be another
Following
trap,
her
bro.
bravery
GG's.
during the tower assault, Thermite would recruit Ram to Redhammer, something that Kaid would be in approval of. A polar opposite of Thermite's recruitment of Fenrir. We would get some insight from both Rainbow and Nighthaven during this period of time as well. Nighthaven agent IQ would reach out to Vigil to send her condolences after the attack. Callie also let her agents know that they would only once again get involved in Rainbow's operation if the reward outweighs the risk. Smoke acknowledges that Ella is seemingly distraught
fairs,
after
I
what
guess,
happened to
bro.
her
Fairs,
older
I
sister,
guess.
almost dying in Deimos' attack. After years of always pushing Zofia away, the thought of almost losing her is clouding her mind. We'd even learn operators like Zofia and Mira see their dispute with Nighthaven as trivial, and that both sides could really benefit from cooperation once more.
I mean,
Zero would
honestly,
also
with
make
Deimos
note of
about,
the
bro, I
power
need
of these
Nighthaven needs to
strikes,
lock
claiming
in,
that
bro.
he
They got
feels
set up
like
by
he's seen
by
this
him
work
already.
before. Maybe believing something similar
You'd
to what
think they
Harry
would just lock in
which
and
Goya
help.
would also mention that he missed Harry. Frost would also suggest that the team lay their own trap, play Deimos at his own game, the same as you would do if you were hunting. With Ash still in her coma, Deimos still at large, and a larger
I don't know if I see
conspiracy
that
revealing
working.
itself, the intel would be relayed to Wolfguard, who is currently in Portugal with their newest recruit, Tubarão, an operative from the Portuguese Special Actions Detachment, the Tier 1 Special Force Maritime unit of the Portuguese Navy. Just like with Sense, the skills of Tubarão, but also his humanitarian outlook, and the buzz he would create with the frost grenades which he would develop himself,
Frost
is what
grenade?
brought him on Doc's radar and subsequent recruitment to Wolfguard.
Wait, why couldn't
The team
I
would
didn't
follow
see
the
this trailer?
intel of the Heartbreaker, with Tubarão and Thunderbird scoping out the vessel for any suspicious movement. A small boat would depart from the vessel and begin leading through a series of cave systems. Tubarão would pursue
remember
this
this.
lead, with Thunderbird following behind. The pair would then discover a facility hidden in this cave system. And it wasn't anything amateur. There was money here. There was
Fully
funding.
submerged with
There
the
were
beret hit
soldiers.
is crazy.
This was the Carey's Legion's base.
Has Frost been
Deimos'
mentioned?
lair.
Yeah.
Now, Tubarão would discover that the crew of the Heartbreaker
They haven't had much
been
lore with
taken
them
hostage
yet.
by the
I
Carey's
don't think.
Legion.
Wait,
He
wait.
silently made his way into the
I
base.
think they have.
With the lives of the hostage in danger, he had to be quick. Taking
Damn,
out Carey's Legion
punched the shit out of
soldiers,
him.
he would use his Zoto canister grenades, but he would be too late. Although they would uncover this base,
I'm pretty
the
sure Frost has been
hostages
mentioned, but I
were dead.
don't know. I don't
The
think
pair
anything
were able to
specific has happened
discover
with them
intel,
yet.
However, on Deimos' next operation, he was going to initiate
Bro, this
an
Deimos
assault
kid is
on
doing
the
so much
Emerald Plains
damage.
Country Club in Northern Ireland. This club was secretly being used as a dark site by the Global Security Alliance Council. He wasn't just going for Rainbow, he was going for the entire chain of command.
What does this guy
The pair would investigate
want?
further, where
Send
Tubarão
in
would access
James
the
Bond, bro.
computers,
We
learning
got like
that Deimos
7
left
James
hours
Bonds,
ago,
and he's running
he's already
circles
on his
around
way.
them.
The pair
Help!
attempt to relay the information to Captain Doc.
I don't
but
even
the
know who's.
signal
They
won't
are
escape
the
cave
help, and they're getting
As more
cooked.
Carey soldiers return to the base, not knowing that they've been infiltrated,
Bro, there's like
Tubarão and Thunderbird
30
hide.
there's
Not
like
being
30
able to return up
operators.
to the cave system, as they'd be noticed, Tubarão suggests that they steal the boat the soldiers arrived in and make their escape through that way. The two would get in position and begin to open fire on the soldiers. A gunfight would ensue, and Tubarão would make use of a nitro cell to blow these soldiers up. The pair would be
Damn.
flanked by a Carey specialist who would shoot Tubarão
Wait,
in
they
the
were really
shoulder
getting
as
active in the
Thunderbird
comics
lays down
department.
suppressive
Holy
fire
shit, so
so
much
Tubarão
plot
can
is
get
happening
cover.
in between
The specialist jumps Thunderbird, knocking the weapon
cinematics.
from her hand.
Like
She
genuine
charges him with
plot.
a knife, stabbing him in the chest as Tubarão assists her. After being knocked back, the specialist propels himself off the wall and drags Tubarão into the water with them. Both soldiers are bleeding out from their injuries, and as the Carey specialist attempts to choke Tubarão, the operator grabs his Zoto canister, forcing it inside the open wound of this soldier and releasing it. This would result in an internal deep freeze in his system, causing his body to enter shock and die. Thunderbird would pull Tubarão out of the water and begin their escape. As they would pass the Heartbreaker, they'd be able to radio into Doc, who's currently at Hereford Base alongside Rook and Mira. Being in a close proximity to Northern Ireland, with Hereford being in England, the operators would immediately prepare for departure.
And the open wound is crazy. Hold on. I'm still not recovered.
Clear. Start setting up.
What's the meaning of this? Monsieur Secrétaire Général, we are with Rainbow. This
What I just read? I don't know. I'm recording a video, bro. I'm ignoring your ass. How do I tell you? Here we go. Okay, this cinematic.
Look sharp. Deimos is here. Mira.
Bro, look how nice this Deimos dude is.
We lure him in and take him alive.
Alive? Son.
Hold. Now.
What do you mean take him alive? Oh my god. Concussion.
Standing.
Wait, take him alive. Meanwhile, you're shooting buckshots. It's crazy.
Disappointing. Rainbow operator.
Mind you, this guy's moving like this with a revolver. I guess automatic weapons and a shotgun. Oh, hold on, hold on. John Splinter Cell is here. See, he lucky Sam Fisher old.
Samuel Fisher. Say hi to Harry for me.
Yeah, I guess this guy is just bulletproof, by the way, so.
What are you waiting for? Pull the goddamn trigger, soldier.
Bro, looking like crossbones.
Not gonna happen. It's over, Deimos.
It's over until you escape because we're keeping you
will tell us
alive.
Everything.
Oh,
Nothing I
Bears.
say will save Rainbow. You're already dead.
We'll see about that.
Bro, we had to get John Splinter Cell himself to go hand to hand, and it still needed assistance. This guy needs to go. This guy Deimos needs to go.
Mira and Rook would survive the ordeal after upgrading their armor thanks to the testing and evaluation of the Kerry's Legion ordnance. Deimos
Oh,
knew that
that's
his
how that.
ordnance could penetrate Rook's armor, but what he didn't expect was that Rainbow would get one step ahead of this and play him at his own game. They laid their trap with
that's
Sam
why-
Fisher, and it would result in a success. Ash would also
Okay,
awake from her
okay,
coma,
that makes
beginning
sense
her
now.
healing process
I didn't know
and
that's why
getting
that
her up to
happened.
speed on
Okay.
what has happened. But now that they have Deimos, Rainbow would make their bombshell discovery. The man behind the pain, behind the mask, behind the suffering, is none other than one of Rainbow's very best, the once presumed dead Gerald Morris. Although Rainbow would now have Gerald in their custody, and the threat of the Kerry's Legion still at large, there would be another group that would linger over Rainbow, begin to pressure them, and that is the Global Security Alliance Council. After
Wait,
one of their very
why?
own was targeted at Emerald Plains, the GSAC members are now more on edge and beginning to question Rainbow's effectiveness. There would be even more infighting in
I
the
guess,
team
bro.
after the decision to leave Deimos alive. Ops such as
Yeah,
Thermite,
that makes
Kapkan,
sense.
and Azami thinks they should have killed him, whereas Jaeger, Doc,
But-
Lion agree that it's better keeping him alive. The operators aren't the only one with this conflict as well.
Deimos isn't the
himself
actual
thinks they
leader.
should have put him down and sees them as weak for not doing so. The team would welcome
So,
back
like,
Ash
I guess they
as
need info
another
on carries, but, like, come on now.
Thermite would begin to spiral in a sense. His mental health was beginning to decline. He blames himself for what happened to Aruni all those years ago. He blames himself about what happened to Ash during that operation. People are already on his back for his recruitment of Fenrir, and now that Deimos is still breathing and he can't change that, it's eating away at him. Osa says to Callie
Yeah,
that
it might
they
be time to
haven't heard
retire.
from Rainbow since the Soul attack, and that maybe it's time for them to reach out for once. Meanwhile, Mira would head back to the lab, where she would request Blackbeard to supply her with his rifle shields for assessment. Now, as the team would adapt to this new climate and bring
Yeah.
themselves back on their feet,
I don't
there's
know
something
why
that's still looming
Night
over
Haven's
them. What
trolling.
Deimos said, that Rainbow's already dead. A hypothetical doomsday clock has been initiated. What does Gerald mean? Deimos would be escorted
Bro,
to
the 2D
Hereford
animations are
Base,
so
where he'd be
tough.
held under Rainbow supervision.
I don't know,
with
they-
Ash, Doc, and Buck beginning an interrogation. Doc says if they don't get information out of him soon, the council will relocate him and they'll lose their leverage. Ash, who is still recovering from her injuries, would enter the interrogation room with Gerald. A reflection on the window of their younger selves gives us a hint that these two have a history. Ash presents Gerald with a picture of Harry, Yahata, and Angel, just a few of the victims that have died at his hands. Let's see, Ash says. Estranged family, parents deceased, godfather on his deathbed, not to mention your career prospects. I can't imagine you thought you'd get away with this. So, why? What did you get out of it? Good old revenge not enough? Says Morris.
Revenge?
I know you're not that simple, replies Ash. I've read every piece there is to read, written by you or about you. That is when Morris replies by telling her to read her file. She would try and begin to understand what he meant by this. The group would pull up Ash's Rainbow file, where they would acknowledge that it was originally created by Gerald himself, years before his defection.
Wait.
Ash was already being recommended to Rainbow before its first deactivation. Buck just sees this as him trying to buy himself some time, but Ash is gonna attempt to do some more digging. She bursts into the interrogation room, instantly stating her point. The last time I saw you, you were giving a talk on explosives. It was my first year with the Bureau. Ironic, isn't it? He replied, joking about the fact that she was blown up by his very own explosives. You were always a leader, Ash says, an exemplar. I almost didn't believe you were Deimos. You haven't changed though, have you? So try me, Ash says as she pulls out a picture of Daniel Bogart's family. Starting with Bogart, tell me why he had to die. Convince me that that was the right thing to do. He got in the way, replied Gerald. There's no grand scheme there. You don't feel responsible, Ash says. Responsible? I was the only one being responsible.
Wait, what?
How? Ash replies. You had orders. Fuck the orders, shouts Gerald. It wasn't the first time Rainbow let politicians get in the way, and it sure wasn't the last. Don't tell me you never wished you could burn it all down. I made my choice. Rainbow was holding us all back. What did you do, Morris? Replies Ash. How did it go from that to this? But Gerald's finished talking, and they return him to his cell. Buck points out that it seems what Ash said struck a nerve, and Ash claims that he's still resisting. It feels like he's angry that she's not meeting him where he's at. Ash would sleep on this conversation and keep repeating what Gerald was saying in her head. Without Buck and Doc around, she would make her way to Gerald's cell. A man can't have a little peace at night now, he says. I thought you'd just be happy to see me, says Ash. Just me. No man behind the mirror. I think I understand. Not that I would have gone this far. Gerald then perks up and listens to what Ash is about to say. When Harry became 6, I had my doubts. I questioned him, opposed his decisions. He wasn't one of us. Never had to be the one pulling the trigger. Go on, says Deimos. Part of me accepted that things change, and this was one of them. But deep down, I thought, couldn't we do better? And then he stepped down, showed us that we could redefine what Rainbow is. We would have, if not for you. Rainbow doesn't need to die, Morris. It just needs to change. How about a compromise? I'm listening, he says. This is obviously bigger than you. Give me something to work with.
This still doesn't make his motive make any sense.
You could turn this around. Doc and Buck get wind that Ash is interrogating Deimos against protocol. They rush to the cell block to stop her. Here's my offer, replies Gerald. You take me into the field, and I'll give you what you need. Oh, and I'll need my vendetta. Now, this was a big ask by Deimos. They can't trust him with a loaded weapon, let alone behind a cell. Ash understands there's more at play here. Her and Gerald have the same outcome. They want Rainbow to change, but they went completely different routes about doing it.
I really hope that's not the ending to the explanations for him, bro. Him having a problem kind of makes sense. Everything he's doing does it still.
Gerald took an extremist, terrorist route, which has clouded his judgment and mind. Where Ash challenged the hierarchy, she challenged Harry. Even when Nighthaven joined, she challenged this decision. And Harry became that force for change when he introduced the squads. His program was to change Rainbow. And
like, that was it? Is that simple?
Although they are in agreement that Rainbow needed change, they couldn't be further apart. Now,
bro didn't like his manager, so he became a terrorist?
Rainbow
like,
would make
are we serious?
Not the freedom or the means for him to gain that freedom, but enough for them to squeeze some intel out of him. Whilst Gerald was being held in Hereford,
actively opening as we speak. Yeah, good luck, bro.
There would be some changes at the base too. All Rainbow recruit training would now take place here in response to the attack at the tower. For the safety of the recruits, Rainbow operatives, and staff, this would now be all centralized at Hereford Base. Many Rainbow operatives would now also be assigned protection detail for GSAC members. Ayana and Amaru would be sent to Peru, with other squads such as Mozzie and Ram being deployed globally. This was all hands on deck. Every operator had a role. Now, with the recruit training centralized in Hereford, there would be some changes to its system as well. Mira would learn that the recruit playbook, the same one that she went through and other Rainbow operatives are training under, was written by Gerald himself. An indication as to why his soldiers are so skilled. They were getting Rainbow level training. Mira would ask Thorn to create a new Rainbow recruit training system from scratch. Although this isn't anything out of the ordinary for Thorn, she already has a reputation in her training systems. This would be a big ask, but this would be Thorn's opportunity for her biggest contribution to Rainbow ever since she joined. Solis jokingly says to her that that's like attempting to repaint the Mona Lisa. But Thorn would take this task fully under her wing and deliver. She would create an entirely new training system, also introducing new aliases for the recruits depending on what they're being trained for. Recruits being trained to be attacking specialists.
Wait, so we're back in a training arc. What about this Deimos dude, bro? I don't...
With a new redesigned uniform giving them all the utility they need to learn their roles, with of course training overlapping between them as well, it doesn't mean they're just going to be exclusively for those roles. A new era of Rainbow's recruit training was born. Many Rainbow Ops would also come forward and assist in the recruit training, such as Monty, who was a range instructor for the GIGN, a fitting role for him to do with the recruits. There was still a lot of infighting between operators at this time, however. Many of them were disagreeing with not only Deimos being alive, but the compromises that the team were making with him for the intel he was providing. Something which is once again a testament to Harry's leadership. They are somewhat falling apart without him. It's not that the squad leaders are incompetent, they are the best in their game, but they still need that glue to hold them together and realign them. Even Flores,
I'm not gonna
who
lie,
is undoubtedly loyal to Ash, is questioning her judgment on Deimos. Nighthaven agent Aruni would also reach out to her old friend Thermite, after hearing how much he's been struggling since the Deimos situation unfolded. Now with the reorganization
I'm not gonna lie,
Rainbow,
they kind of bugging, bro. This guy killed Harry. He killed literal 6. The 6 in Rainbow 6. Killed Bogart back in the day. Folded a bunch of recruits. All of that, are you telling me his motivation was just he didn't like management?
Taking place at Hereford, Deimos would
That can't be the end of that arc, bro.
A Carey's Legion cell is currently camped out within a chalet in the French Alps. Ghost Eye's operatives Kavera, Maverick, and Zofia enter the scene, with 15 hostiles being counted so far. On top of Carey's Legion soldiers, there's also an unidentified man talking about a safe house and coordinates. Captain Kavera relays this information
Put
to
Ash
Zero,
in a coma,
who's
fucked up
overseeing training at Hereford. Not only is he
Thermite,
shocked that Deimos' information was accurate, he asks them if they need reinforcements. Kavera replies by saying, "No time. There's target with critical intel. We have to make our move before they do." Zero acknowledges this, and Kavera initiates a tactical plan to draw this man out and interrogate him. Maverick, perched on a nearby cliff, will hold down the perimeter, with Kavera saying that the helipad and Western Road are the only viable evac points. Kavera will get into position as Zofia breaches the library side of the chalet, firing at the Carey soldiers and causing this man to flee. The team utilized their advantage of the unknown to trick these Carey soldiers into believing there are more operators at play. Kavera enters the building pursuing this man as Zofia is perched above the fireplace, deploying concussions and raining down hell on these soldiers. Cav pursues this man to the basement of the building, where he jumps on a snowmobile and begins.
Oh my god, he's trying to initiate a 007 chase sequence.
Chalet, a sniper shot by Maverick immobilizes the vehicle, throwing the man to the ground and killing the driver. Zofia provides cover for Kavera as there are still 9 Carey soldiers standing, giving her enough time to interrogate this man. The details are spared, but we can only assume that Kavera's interrogation probably wasn't very clean. She relays the information to Zero that they have what they need. The Carey's Legion safe house is in Greece. Whatever they're planning, their intel will be there. Sam acknowledges this, saying,
But like Deimos isn't even the leader of the Carey's Legion?
Who is this contact? Well, it was none other than the ex-operative and squad mate of Gerald, Kure Galanos. Following the incident that took place, plus the subsequent shift in her career, studying mechanical engineering and undergoing BDR training to operate ordnance defusal drones, Curie would create her first ever iteration of the shells, which are advanced robots used to defuse bombs.
What?
Now, this would be just a first iteration, all coming from manual inputs provided by Curie, and would even be deployed by the Greek ECAM in Operation Daedalus. Well, the early
Oh, hell
iterations
no,
of
we're
the
fighting
shells
AI
were
now?
good, but it's only when Curie would attend a defense hardware summit where she would meet Osa from Nighthaven. The two would begin to strike up a conversation, and using Osa's skills in robotics and Curie's knowledge and vision of what the shells can be, they would create the V10 Pantheon shells, the most advanced version yet. Still requiring
I'm sure
a
that's not
manual
going to be a
input by
problem.
Curie, this version of the shells are the most streamlined, fluid, humanoid version so far. And now that Curie is being called upon by Rainbow once again, the GSAC and Aurelia, who, although is no longer 6, is still involved with the GSAC,
Aurelia
give
still exists?
Curie a special role. Under the call sign now of Scopos, she is to enact a full evaluation of Rainbow and report everything back to the GSAC to assess the team's effectiveness. The GSAC already have a rocky standing with Rainbow.
I mean, do they
and
have
although
people
their
ready to
initial
replace them if they're not
recommendation was for her to
effective
stick to
enough,
lab
or?
work in engineering, she would be given the full endorsement to return to active duty, operating Talos and Colossus, the Pantheon shells, from her control center. She would be assigned to Wolfguard under Captain Doc. Not only is Curie now back as a Rainbow operative serving on the field with Talos and
Nice.
Colossus, she is also now fully assessing the team, setting up groups and interviewing operators. But Curie also has a good standing with Nighthaven, well, at least with Osa. Curie would be reintegrated as Rainbow would gather intel on their Greece operation. Scopos would meet with the operatives and begin to assess them as people, operators, and as a unit.
Where did that shield go? Wait a minute.
Using Rainbow intelligence as well as the information gathered from the chalet, Dokkaebi would be deployed to Greece to join Curie, where they would initiate their attack on the Keres Legion safe house. As Dokkaebi would slip in and access their servers, Curie would provide cover using Talos and Colossus, operating from a van not too far from the safe house. The advanced Pantheon shells offer cover and support fighting back against these Keres Legion soldiers, as Dokkaebi continues to download all the information from the infiltrated database. Thanks to Scopos' aid, this mission would be a success, and the pair would attempt to extract the intel they have gathered. As they begin their getaway, Scopos would look at Dokkaebi's tablet, assessing the information found on the Keres Legion servers. There's a huge amount of data to go through: schematics, travel logs, locations such as
What do they want?
Hereford Base, the Heartbreaker, even mention of Detroit. Information about Rainbow's past and present is all.
It's not even just Deimos, it's a whole other organization, bro.
Operations such as the Las Vegas Convention Center, which took place in 2010. Everything was on this. The two would begin to make their escape from the area, where they would travel back to Hereford Base and relay the intel. That is when remaining Keres Legion soldiers would track down their van and start pursuing them. Scopos would begin to pilot Talos and Colossus, fighting back against these soldiers, using impact grenades to blow up the vehicles. As Dokkaebi, whilst driving, attempts to access even more of this information.
Yo, can you look at the road?
Intel on an imminent attack. Scopos' shells would begin to sustain critical damage, and she'd start to take things into her own hands, opening the van doors.
Wait, I'm
and
still
shooting
nice.
back at these soldiers. As the final piece of this convoy is dealt with, Dokkaebi claims that there is a target, but it's encrypted. All she can access is a date, 2 days from now. With heaps of intel in this extracted data and only a date, Curie only sees one way they can narrow down their search. The two would prepare to travel to Hereford Base. On the flight, Scopos would write the following memo. I read the Deimos interrogation briefs on the flight to Hereford. Gustav asked him if he expected me to ignore protocol in 2012 and run into that building. Stay behind. He refused to answer. How am I supposed to look at Bogart's boys in the eyes now that I know how he died? What about Gerald's daughters now that I know he's alive? I can't let him stay in
He
my
has
head.
daughters?
GSAC is breathing down Rainbow's neck, and if I can't get the team straightened out in time, cutting it so close in Emerald Plains has left us hanging from a very fragile rope. I will not let Rainbow choke. The fight's not done. The pair arrive at Hereford Base, where they are greeted by Blackbeard, who is currently overseeing Deimos. Scopos requests the two operatives to leave her alone with Gerald. She's still processing the fact that her friend and colleague she once thought was dead could do such a thing and commit the atrocities he has. Blackbeard tells Scopos that he has to return the last of his rifle shields to Mira, as she has an upgrade in mind. And although she is now alone with Gerald, Blackbeard reminds him that if he tries to do anything, there's someone in the shadows watching him. As I live and breathe, says Deimos.
Who's in the shadows?
Good of you to make time for me. I hope you're enjoying the fresh air, she says. You might not get a lot of it after today. I've been compliant so far, haven't I? Says Gerald. Cut the bullshit, Morris, Scopos interrupts. You set us up. Sorry, he replies. They don't keep me informed. How did Rainbow fail today? You knew your information would lead Rainbow to Greece, to your list of targets. Tell me, which one's next? Why would I do that? Says Deimos. You've been stalling, replies Scopos.
Bro,
giving us what you could afford to lose.
Can we just pop this guy, bro?
Your last chance to cooperate. Or what? Replies Deimos. Or no more quid pro quo. You rot in a hole and lose any chance of cutting a deal with GSAC. The list. Is that the only thing you found? Says Gerald. We also found a date, she replies. Tomorrow. And I'm betting you know what that target will be. And who got your intel? He says. That girl from the Korean Special Forces? Dokubi? I'll have to keep my eye on that one. Rainbow's out of time. Why'd you come back, Kure? Because of you, she replies. I'm going to fix this. For Bogart's family. For yours. They mourned you. And for the Gerald I believed in. Because you'll never be half the man he was. You're going to lose, Deimos. We'll find out tomorrow, won't we? Replies Deimos.
Bro, like...
Now Rainbow begins to prepare for an
At this point, he's not even helping. There's no point in them negotiating with him.
They begin to send operatives to many of these locations to prepare. Brava and Habana are sent to Singapore, whilst operatives are still protecting GSAC members as well. The team is now spread thin, attempting to tackle this imminent attack wherever it may appear. Meanwhile, at the GSAC, one of their board members, Lucas Liu, would say the following. Upon reading Dedicated Officer Galanos' most recent report, it has become abundantly clear that she lacks the objectivity required to properly assess Rainbow as an organization. She is too close to this unit, too willing to give them the benefit of the doubt when she should be cracking down. Rainbow was resurrected to work as a deterrent to worldwide safety threats, a job that they have repeatedly failed to do. Instead, they have become a lightning rod for those very issues.
I kind of see that perspective, but it's like
idly by while civilians are endangered and council members are targeted. I propose we discard all prior assessments and begin a full reevaluation immediately. As members of GSAC, we owe it to ourselves to elect a neutral party capable of...
I'm not gonna lie, they did need a neutral party because they brought a person who's the old partner or team member of the boss villain. Like, this is the most biased assessment you could possibly have.
Handled and assessed, all whilst the doomsday clock is still ticking above.
But who are they gonna get? Nighthaven or something?
Rainbow's recruit training continues as scheduled at Hereford. Maverick, who's on base with Frost,
bro, I don't care about the recruits, bro.
Her comms are also messing up. He's been having issues with them all day, and it's causing problems. Mira would also give Blackbeard a gadget upgrade, replacing his rifle shields with the hull adaptable shield. From her run-in with Deimos, she knows that Rainbow needs to be one step ahead at every time, and she's starting to look into improving the team's gadgets. Blackbeard, who is still on base, would aid Thorn in training a sentry, putting them through the program that Thorn designed. Blackbeard and this sentry would face off, with Blackbeard taking them down. That is when, instead of getting up, the sentry reaches for a weapon, which Thorn notices and the pair take cover. The two operators work together, advancing on the sentry and disarming him. After giving them a chance to explain themselves, they reach for the weapon once more, and Thorn kills them. The alarms of Hereford base erupt as gunfire ensues.
That's what this was. Okay.
This was the Carey's Legion's attack, emanating from the inside of Rainbow through the recruits. Many strikers and sentries would execute their fellow recruits.
Yeah, Order 66
coming together. The base was now on full lockdown, with the runways closed and off-site operators unable to make contact.
Mind you, just what Deimos knew was going to happen and didn't say. Why are they letting this guy walk around again?
What is happening and initiating a plan.
Couldn't tell you.
Carey's Legion's goal is to free Deimos, and they cannot let this happen. The Carey soldiers are following the command of a man by the alias of Phobos, and now the biggest attack on Rainbow is underway. Sam orders the team to hold down an area at the south of the base, whilst Maverick, Lion, and Mira create an entry point from the inside to allow the team to enter and help protect the server room. This is a critical all-hands-on mission. All operators push back against the might of the Keres Legion, even Fenrir, who is finally getting his revenge on Deimos. Whilst this is happening, Blackbeard is present at another side of the base. He comes across a striker recruit and a man pinned down by Keres soldiers. He takes down Deimos' men and asks this recruit for their call sign, which they say is Striker Z09, and they're from New Zealand. They are currently escorting the dedicated GSAC officer which has been sent in, Karan. Blackbeard, now realizing they have a civilian on base, takes charge.
Why would a
and begins to
civilian
carve
be
a path
there?
forward.
Wait.
At this time, Maverick would also be able to breach the entry point and allow the operators in.
I guess normally I'll be with the
they would
safest
begin to hold
place.
down the data room inside of Hereford to prevent the information
theoretically.
from being stolen. Multiple operatives would also arrive at the base, providing reinforcement for their team. Blackbeard and Striker Z09 continue to escort Karan off the base, where they come across Sense being pinned down. He coordinates a plan with the Striker. Blackbeard will push in with his shield as Sense fires, and the Striker flanks the Keres soldiers. The lone operative thanks the pair for the assist, and informs them that they have orders to prep Deimos for air evac. Blackbeard tells the Striker to go with Sense and aid them in evacuating Deimos, as he will take Karan and get him off the base. Blackbeard tells Karan to keep his head down and listen to him. The two make their way to one of the outer
that other
bunkers
guy's
of the
breaking
base,
Deimos out,
almost
bro.
making their escape when they're met by Keres soldiers.
Are
Startled
we
Karan
serious,
disobeys
bro?
Blackbeard's orders and attempts to flee. Blackbeard would deal with these soldiers, but for Karan, it was too late. He would be shot in the chest and begin bleeding out. Blackbeard isn't giving up though. He carries Karan by one arm while simultaneously fighting Keres soldiers. The team inside the base successfully hold down the server room, and with
And let me
Deimos
guess,
prepared
that
for
one
evac,
random
that is now
just
their
already
priority.
took Deimos
Sam
out.
informs Rainbow that the base is rigged to blow, and it's too late to stop it.
As in,
So
like,
full evacuation, everyone
to
must
escape.
leave the base. The operators now exit the building, escorting Deimos, making their way to the helicopter. Blackbeard gets Karan out of the hot zone, but it's too late for him. He's dying. This is where Karan informs Blackbeard that the GSAC are going to vote on shutting Rainbow down. They were waiting for his report. Karan would draw his final breath as Rainbow get Deimos into the helicopter and the team make their escape.
Wait.
Clock strikes 0 and Hereford
maybe
base
not.
fully erupts. Rainbow
Wait,
are
but
now
who-
at their
that-
lowest point. Deimos had won once again. Hereford base was gone, and the entire existence of the team was now in jeopardy.
I don't understand why they need to keep him alive. No. He's clearly not helping.
Rainbow are now in a period of recovery. The assault on Hereford base would see the death of many recruits, signal officers, and other Rainbow staff. Operators like Lion were near death, and if it wasn't for Doc finding him, he would have been gone. Not
Oh
only
shit, that
this,
was Lion?
Dokubi would be captured by the Keres Legion, for reasons unknown by the team. The vote by the Global Security Alliance Council is still looming over Rainbow's head, and following the destruction of Hereford and the death of their dedicated officer, things are not looking too promising for Rainbow. If they were to save Dokubi and fight back, they needed help and they needed resources. In their time of need, Rainbow and the GSAC would offer a contract to Nighthaven for the two sides to work together.
Nighthaven's still been
once
just
again.
sitting on
This
her.
was the
Oh my god.
opportunity Callie was waiting for. Nighthaven were already struggling since being grounded by Rainbow. That action took a hit on Nighthaven's reputation, and this is their opportunity to bring it back. She
Oh,
would
yeah,
be
I
met
forgot
with
they did get
criticism
put
from
on
many of her agents for
permit,
this
like,
move, but she reminds them
indefinite
who's in
hold.
charge and that they follow her lead. Nighthaven needs this contract, and you damn well know they're gonna do it right. The cleanup of Hereford base is underway, as the
That's
newly
what this
reunited
was.
Rainbow and Nighthaven would begin their pursuit of the Keres Legion and Dokubi. During a reconnaissance mission, Red Hammer operative Sledge and Nighthaven agent Smoke would track down a Keres Legion convoy that are moving ordnance. The crates would have a name of a company listed on it, known as Polaris. The two specialists would engage with the
Polaris?
Keres Legion soldiers, and after being hit by a
Don't give me
grenade,
another
Smoke
faction
would
to
be
remember.
injured. Sledge would cover him as the pair are saved by Nook, who is now back in the field
Oh,
and ready
shit.
to fight the Keres Legion. The team would follow the intel of Polaris, with the company's HQ being located in Detroit,
Yo,
and
who
a
could you
woman
possibly
with
be?
a link to the company we don't yet know is being targeted by Keres Legion soldiers in Poland.
Oh,
It's
this
here where
cinematic.
Nighthaven agent Ella and Ghost Eye's operative Zofia intercept the Keres Legion
Oh,
and extract this
shit.
woman. We also see a reunion of the sisters fighting together once more, and Ella gives her a smile which speaks 1,000 words. Now, as Rainbow and Nighthaven are gathering their intel and Hereford is still being searched, Habano would promote a surviving Rainbow Striker recruit to Viper Strike. Striker Z09, who displayed courage, leadership, and
Okay,
bravery during
I'm not
the
gonna lie,
assault
I
on
thought
Hereford
this was an
base,
op.
is given the call sign of Raura and joins the hunt
Oh, that
for
was
the
her?
Caris Legion. She recalls one of her friends and fellow recruits called Linnea turning on them and killing their squad, with Raura having to
Ooh.
kill her. A glimpse into how deeply rooted these Caris Legion soldiers were in the
Bro,
recruit
what?
system. She
What
even
does
invited
Caris Legion
Raura to
people
her wedding,
want?
and it was all a lie and an illusion to infiltrate Rainbow. So Polaris would be Rainbow and Nighthaven's biggest lead here, and they would deploy Solis and Raura to infiltrate the HQ in Detroit. It is here where the pair would discover this building swarming with Caris Legion soldiers, seemingly scrubbing the database, or stealing it. They're not sure. Before they engage, the pair agree that they should leave one of these soldiers alive for questioning. And they do just that. They enter in the room and engage in a gunfight, as the Caris Legion continue to extract information from this database. As this soldier with the data begins to flee, the pair catch up with him, cornering him, and begin their questioning. Before the soldier can say anything, he is executed by a sniper shot from outside the window. Like Phobos. Raura deploys her dumb panel for cover as Solis grabs the data and the
Ooh, why it looks so evil for her?
Phobos detonates explosives which are laced throughout this building, causing it to completely collapse and creating unrest in downtown Detroit. Solis and Raura are able to escape, and the pair return back to Rainbow and Nighthaven as Solis begins to decrypt and analyze the data. Now, this wouldn't take her very long to do, and what she would find were multiple pieces of intel pointing to an abandoned district on the outskirts of Detroit itself.
What?
Following every lead they can, Rainbow and Nighthaven deploy Grim, Valkyrie, and Raura to scope out this area. Dubbed as the Zeta team, Valkyrie takes command, and the trio scope out the area, waiting for any suspicious activity. And the intel would be correct.
We're close to the
soldiers
end.
patrolling the area. If the Caris Legion is here,
catching
then
up.
it's likely so is Phobos. The trio would silently make their way into this building, with Raura covering their back. Grim would also remove any silent security device as well, so the team would go unnoticed. Well, this would be short-lived, as a Caris Legion soldier would spot them, and their cover is now blown.
Oh, GG's.
Valkyrie orders Grim to deploy his mechanical bees, which disorientate these enemies and take them by surprise. The operators and agent work in unison, taking out these soldiers and progressing their way through this building. As they pursue the fleeing soldier who is making their way to Phobos, Grim says that he should split off from the two of them to allow him to flank around. She reminds him that if he does this, there'll be no one to cover his back. And he replies by saying, the mission comes first, right?
Oh, he's
At
cooked.
the end of the day, he's a mercenary, a very skilled one. If you give him a job, he's going to complete it. Valkyrie and Raura proceed on the route. As they begin to chase this man down further, Grim appears from a side entrance and takes down the Caris soldier.
Oh,
This
fierce.
is a testament to Rainbow and Nighthaven's teamwork, and why it's important that the two sides work together. As they enter the room this soldier was heading for, they find an empty control panel, with Phobos nowhere to be seen. However, there is something of value here. Dokkaebi is being held in this district. With this being a closed circuit, the team are able to get the coordinates, and this would initiate Rainbow and Nighthaven's
continue in-game is
biggest
so
joint
tough.
operation ever. They need to stop the Caris Legion now. Rainbow would completely cut off this district from the rest of Detroit. Wolfguard's priority here was making sure no civilians would bleed into this area, keeping them back and administering aid if necessary. Rainbow and Nighthaven would set up a Detroit forward operating base, where the operators and agents are called in and briefed on their mission. Some operatives, such as Sense, wouldn't be present here, as they would be overlooking Deimos in an undisclosed location where he has now been moved to. The team are already on thin ice with the G.
They really let this guy walk around and stretch his legs just to set them up again.
Rainbow and Nighthaven's reintegration, Osa would develop an upgrade for Clash's existing shield, developing the CCE Mark II, allowing a more streamlined and efficient usage of her shield on the field. And this would be deployed during this operation. We'd also learn from Sledge and Thatcher that Osa was tinkering with Thatcher's EMP a
taser shield
as well, which Thatcher wasn't necessarily happy with, but Scopos tells Thatcher to trust her, and if she needs them, give them to her. This abandoned district in Detroit would now become the battleground between Rainbow and Nighthaven versus the Caris Legion.
Dude.
A new signal officer would be assigned to this
New
mission
map?
after many of them died during the assault of Hereford base. Olivia Anderson, known as Epsilon, would relay all information to the team present during this operation. She is the only surviving signal officer alongside Auspice, who did survive the Caris Legion's attack. As well as this, Ayana would use her connections to redirect the satellite to provide an advanced UAV of the area. This way, all the specialists have real-time intel of where each of them are on the field and increase the efficiency and success rate of this mission. We see Ash and Callie talking after not interacting for a very long time. Ash doesn't seem fully on board with working with Nighthaven once again, and Callie says that she's glad Ash is safe and came back from her coma okay, but to not step on her feet and stay out of her way. I'm
not gonna lie, Ash being like, you're saying that about Nighthaven, but you were just working with Deimos, technically. Obviously, he was still like captive and being interrogated and shit. But it was like, bro, you let bro out to give information and he just set y'all up and got a bunch of recruits cooked again. But we're worried about Nighthaven. We're worried about a joint operation with Nighthaven. Yeah.
Teams spread across this entire district,
like, I guess, bro,
everything with a fine-tooth comb. During their search for Dokkaebi, we would get an insight into her interrogations by Phobos. Now, Phobos would begin to play mental games with Dokkaebi, continuously talking to an unknown person on the other side of a call. She would be captured prior to Hereford being destroyed. She doesn't know if that mission was a success or if Deimos escaped or anything. And she's wondering why the Keres Legion want her specifically. Her first theory was that Phobos failed in his plan. They didn't extract Deimos. If they did, Dokkaebi wouldn't be alive. He needs her to save him. Phobos begins to question Dokkaebi, how she was able to hack the Keres Legion and the information she got from it. He seems quite concerned that there's someone else who can interpret the data, saying that Rainbow would have redundancies. But Dokkaebi reassures him that it's only her. She's acting strong and resilient against Phobos' interrogations, and he's not going to break her that easily. He tells her that the next time they speak, they'll have a choice. She either talks or dies. That's her choice. Later,
this guy kind of sucks at interrogating.
She would make note of a broken piece of bar, as well as thinking to herself, he must be protecting something critical, something that Rainbow can reach with her hack. Phobos then continues his mind games by saying, your friends were following up on that list. You won't be seeing them again. Let me guess, she replies. You blew them up. Careful now. Deimos might want you alive, but I'm in control here. Those calls you're taking, they're not from Deimos. He wouldn't rely on a cheap knockoff to interrogate me. You failed to extract him, didn't you? This enrages Phobos as he pulls his weapon,
keep your name out of his mouth,
grazing her cheek and hitting the wall. Phobos is then informed that Rainbow is here and they're out of time. Phobos claims that he needs to secure the prototype and orders this Keres soldier to kill her. As Phobos quickly leaves, this Keres soldier goes to execute Dokkaebi until she slashes him in the throat with the broken piece of her cell bar. She steals the weapon from the soldier and begins to make her getaway. That is then when she comes across
Phobos
the
low-key
schematics
buns.
of something known.
You didn't make sure it was done?
This is the explosive that was used to destroy Hereford base, and this explosive is currently being mass-produced by advanced 3D printers in this district.
3D
Meanwhile,
printers?
Rainbow are continuing their
How are you
operations
3D printing
on the ground.
bombs?
Clash and IQ
That's
are
not
pushing their
normal.
way through this district, fighting these soldiers, as Phobos is making his escape. The pair, alongside other operatives, spend hours searching for Dokkaebi. And when it seems like they're about to be flanked by a Keres soldier, a disgruntled, tired, broken Dokkaebi hits this soldier with a pipe and is secured by the team. Clash and IQ relay this information to Epsilon, who calls in Thunderbird and Jaeger to provide an aerial extraction.
Okay,
As
now
Thunderbird begins to lower the helicopter down, Jaeger fights back against the Keres soldiers with an LMG.
so confused what's
Flash
happening
also
here.
makes use of her upgraded shield. The trio make
I
their
didn't know
way
they were
to
trying to
the evac
rescue her.
point, and they successfully
I
save
thought they were like
Dokkaebi.
just leaving from a
Meanwhile,
battle.
we get
I was like,
some
why is she
insight
so...
of the cleanup operation in Hereford, where operators such
Damn.
as Kapkan and Rook are working to still clear the rubble, and Rook even says that they can identify the dead Keres infiltrators. They don't even know if the recruits were who they thought they were. Rook was here until Habana called him into Detroit as well, saying that he'll do more good as an operator than a first responder. Dokkaebi would be taken to the medbay, where she would begin to be treated for her injuries, but she would relay all the information she found, especially that of the prototype. Although Dokkaebi was rescued, Rainbow and Nighthaven now had a new objective: to seize the production of the prototype and destroy any existing ones created. Callie, who again is trying to make sure that Nighthaven is on top form for this mission, decides that it's time to bring in her ringer, her hidden enforcer,
this guy.
Denari. This operation would begin to escalate more. Wolfguard would have to attend to wounded civilians on the street, and more operators are called in to assist. We would continue to get more insights into our operators as well. Jaeger and Ayana seem to have grown a bond together and enjoy each other's presence. And something that's quite concerning is it seems that Finca's condition is getting worse. Well, Rainbow would begin their investigation of the prototype, and using the schematics she had stolen, Dokkaebi would begin to create a hack to seize any further production. The only issue here is that this would have to be deployed manually to the central server room, which is operating these printers. Still in recovery, but able to complete this hack, she would pass this over to Maestro, as well as Nighthaven's Denari, who Callie had to pull out of an active mission to bring him here. He's briefed on the mission.
Okay, this guy Loki is just Brimstone.
He knows what he has to do.
I'm not even gonna lie.
And he believes he's the man to do it. Rainbow and Nighthaven would create a distraction.
Okay, they've been gassing bro up since earlier, surely.
Silently slip into the server room. As Maestro begins the hack, Carrie's soldiers enter the server room, where Denari, using his trip connectors, provides cover.
I don't remember seeing this.
And takes out these terrorists.
This one.
They will be able to push
what the hell is that?
back with enough time for Maestro to initiate the hack and seize all production of the prototype. But as one objective is complete, another arises. The pair discover a bomb chart, which shows that the Caries Legion have planted explosives all around the city.
They're already planted?
This is no longer a self-contained mission to this district. This is now fully bled into civilian areas.
This is a Modern Warfare 2 campaign now. What are we talking about?
Although the production of the prototype is halted, there are still active explosives at large, and Phobos is intending to ship more globally. This information is relayed to Epsilon, and all the operators and agents are called back to the forward operating base. Red Hammer, Viper Strike, Wolfguard, Ghost Eyes, and Nighthaven are all briefed on this next mission by their captains. They are working in unison like never before. The 5 squads have never been
it's
stronger,
actually just Avengers
and they all
Endgame.
get to work. Azami and Grim would be assigned to cover the northwest quadrant, with Doc adding Ying to this squad to make sure no civilians get hurt. This is just a glimpse into the ever-growing operation Rainbow and Nighthaven were partaking in. We'd learned from Maverick that Nook would spend an hour alone with Zero and Kivera and then go off on her own again, not interacting with any other operatives. Nook has also been given special clearance to deal with the Caries Legion how she pleases.
Who the fuck is she? I don't understand.
Chanka would reconnect with his old friend Finca. The two of them used to date.
Apparently the world will end if her face is, if her identity is exposed, but
to be related to her condition.
She also
things
just
getting worse for Finca. Scopus would compare the events that are unraveling in Detroit to that of the operation that took place in Vegas, even mentioning Gabriel Novak by name and how they cannot let that happen again. Denari talks to Grim, who he's known for a very long time, and he believes that Callie is trying to make Nighthaven look as good as possible because she's looking to sell. Legion would gear up in bomb
Callie got
gear,
weird priorities, man.
do during his time in the police. Anytime these operators find an explosive, they call it into Epsilon and Legion will go disable it. Callie also assigns Denari to the downtown location himself, as the rest of the team are spread elsewhere. At this time, Osa would also develop a new upgrade for Thatcher, the EGS Disruptor. Put together using what she had on hand at the forward operating base and some old prototypes, the Disruptor should help keep Thatcher ahead in the field. With the briefing now over, it's time to go. Rainbow and Nighthaven would flood the city of Detroit. Tubrau and Wamai would deal with an explosive at the Windsor Tunnel. The two diving experts would utilize their skills in tackling this explosive. Due to it being a hot zone, the city's hospital would have to be evacuated. Wolfguard would set up a temporary hospital in a safe location, where Doc would begin to take charge, as Thunderbird would help administer aid and resources, and Ace would partake in search and rescue, as well as providing military aid. Although he may have not lived to see it, this was the Rainbow and Nighthaven that Harry had always visioned. Warden would also be assigned protection.
Good thing the guy that killed him is still just kind of chilling,
escorting him to a local county and making sure he is safe. President Baldwin will then call Warden to the Oval Office. It's going to be a lot for him to cover up Rainbow's involvement in this, especially considering that primaries are starting soon. And
he does not need that watch on
whilst the operators and agents are all in these missions, Callie and Ash would have a meeting with dedicated GSAC officer Aya Smith. It is here where she would relay the info that the GSAC had a majority vote and that the Rainbow program is terminated. They have exactly 1 hour to ramp down.
So who's gonna defuse these bombs?
Ash immediately fights back at this decision. You have operators currently on the ground dealing with explosives and protecting civilians. We cut to Denari, who is in downtown Detroit dealing with one of these explosives.
You want us to stop right
Aya
now?
continues her statement to Ash and Callie. Any specialists still on the field are to stand down and make their final reports.
Okay, this is
And
the
their
dumbest shit
objectives,
ever.
says Callie. They are to be handled by local authorities, replies Smith. You've done
Local
enough. We
authorities.
return to Denari, who is fighting
Right.
Kerry soldiers on the train whilst working with Epsilon to
Damn.
locate the explosive. Meanwhile, Maestro's team would be able to intercept the Kerry's Legion, who had taken a man linked to the New Horizons shipping company hostage. Ash would continue to bargain with Smith, saying that they're so close to getting Phobos. If they can just give them 24 hours, it will
What do you
be
mean
done.
it feels
But
personal?
Smith
We're trying to defuse bombs.
says the GSAC won't let anything fall through the cracks. Just because they're deactivating Rainbow doesn't mean they're going to let the Kerry's Legion get away. Callie adds on by saying,
If they
"This
had
isn't
something
what
else, why
Nighthaven
weren't they already
agreed
doing it? I'm
to. Nighthaven's
confused.
contract will end early," says Smith.
I'm
Paid in full.
confused.
Don't worry, GSAC will be in touch. Denari finally reaches his explosive, but when he opens the hatch, he finds only one. There are now multiple explosives unaccounted for, plus intel suggesting that the Kerry's Legion are going to ship these worldwide, and the VIP related to the shipping company.
The video's
being taken
almost over.
hostage.
What's gonna
Epsilon
happen?
relays all of this information, and Denari rushes to the Nighthaven base. "Look," says Smith, "I know this isn't what you wanted to hear. It's not what I wanted to hear either. The prototype was destroyed. They can't make any more explosives. The only way I can buy you more time is if you give me proof that Phobos has something else cooking." Ash looks at Callie and she admits defeat. But that is when Denari bursts through the door and gives them the intel the team needs. Epsilon claims it's the same all
Holy
over
shit.
Detroit. There is minimal resistance, and that Phobos has more explosives to throw around. He chose civilian targets, not strategic ones. He'd done this to buy himself time. He's not finished, says Denari. "So there's more of these in play,"
Well,
replies Smith. "Tell me you know exactly where Phobos is going. What happens if you don't stop him? And what are you going to do about it?" Denari says, "Between Dokubi's hack and the map in the Kerry safe room, the only options we have left is the port of Detroit." Callie adds on by saying, "So we go. We seize the explosives and we stop Phobos. GSAC will still get what it wants, but the job will be done." And Ash closes by saying, "If we don't stop him, these explosives go global. Thousands could die, and Rainbow wouldn't be there to stop it." "Sounds like actionable intel to me," says Smith. "I'll get you those 24 hours. Cohen, what's the plan?"
If this
Two
didn't
teams,
happen,
Ash
what
replies.
was GSAC
Alpha will be
possibly gonna
responsible
do?
for the explosives. Delta will go after Phobos. "You have specialists you need on base," replies Smith. "Affirmative," confirms Ash. "We can leave within the hour." "Then do it," says Smith, "and make damn sure Rainbow's last mission is one we can all remember proudly. Am I clear?" "Yes, ma'am," they all say. in
Last
unison.
mission? Who's gonna
Rainbow
tell
now
her?
has a final 24 hours to stop Phobos. Win or lose, it seems like they may be deactivated regardless. All operators have been told to stand down, and only
Wait.
the Alpha and Delta team are left standing. Thatcher and Denari will track down the explosives, as Ash and a recently recovered Dokubi will pursue and attempt
Wait.
to stop Phobos once and for all.
So
This is GSAC Dedicated Officer Aya Smith making her final report on the Rainbow program. Rainbow's last mission is underway. Global stability hangs in the balance. How did we get here? Deimos exploited our blind spots.
wait, so
He used Nighthaven as a distraction. Stayed ahead at every step. We should have known he was one of ours. The damage is done.
wait,
Trust eroded.
so
The Council is ending the program. And who can blame them? The public was endangered. GSAC itself targeted. People died. Outcomes Rainbow was created to prevent. But as long as Phobos is out there, there will be no peace. More than ever, failure
Phobos?
is
Deimos
not
is still
an
alive, mind you.
No matter what came before, Rainbow will come together and see this through. They'll make things right. They will find the explosives. They will stop Phobos, even if it costs them their lives. They've been fighting this enemy since day one. No other team on the planet can get this done.
This is a good
This
pitch
is our
to get them
last
just 24
chance to
hours.
salvage this. Otherwise, Phobos will be free to act globally. No one will be safe. See you on the other side.
Wait. Wait, 5 months ago? Huh? Wait, so this is dead ass? Oh my god. Why is it Deimos dead ass saved R6 lore? Wait, what? Dude, there's comics releasing like this too? Wait, what's next? Hold on, that was February 2026. Yo, when's the next lore drop, bro? Is it a comic drop or something? Okay, I might have to keep an eye on this guy's channel. Kudos R6. That actually got me caught up. I understand it now. You know what? If you were watching on YouTube, follow me on Twitch. Oh my god, that was a long ass lore session. But it made everything that I saw so far make sense. So W, I don't know how long they're gonna keep Deimos alive. It seems like they moved on to Phobos being like the main op that they're trying to track down. But like, is Deimos not still a problem, bro? Can we do something about him? At this point, I don't even think keeping him alive serves much of a purpose. But hey, they got that. They just want to keep another awful villain in the bag. Understandable. If you're watching on YouTube, sub for more. I'll see y'all later.